Howdy, folks, and welcome on back to the Deep Dive.
Good to be here.
Today, we're taking a good, thoughtful look at some mighty fascinating ideas that have been, well, stirring in our hearts right here in Overton County.
That's right. Yeah, we've been digging into some writings that really make you ponder the big questions, who we are, where we come from,
Right.
and the nature of, well, just about everything under the sun, really.
Now, our listener today, a good soul from right here in our neck of the woods, is looking for them real nuggets of wisdom, something that'll, make the light bulb go on without having to wade through a whole heap of complicated stuff. They're after them aha moments, ain't we all?
Absolutely, yeah. And these sources we're looking at, they are plumb full of them.
Yeah.
They introduce us to this figure named Ramtha who makes some, well, pretty extraordinary claims about being an ancient being who achieved what he called ascension. So we're going to be trying to get a handle on what Ramtha's perspective is on, well, everything from God to the power of our own minds.
Now, this Ramtha, he does have a way of speaking that might sound a little different from what some of our neighbors down in Livingston or, say, over towards Cookeville might be used to hearing.
That's true.
But that's all right. We're all just trying to understand things a little better, ain't we? Our aim today is just to pull out the most interesting bits from these writings and see what kind of insights they might offer us right here where we are.
Exactly. See what resonates.
All right, so let's start with this Ramtha fella himself. He calls himself a sovereign entity. A long, long time ago, referring to Earth as Terra. What does sovereign entity really boil down to here?
Well, think of it as someone who claims, complete self-mastery, total control over their own being and destiny way back in ancient times.
Self-mastery.
And what's particularly interesting, I think, is his claim that he didn't just die like we understand it,
Right.
but that he ascended.
Ascended.
Yeah.
Now, that ain't your everyday occurrence down here in Overton County. What exactly are we talking about here? Did he just float on up?
Well, not exactly like that. According to him, it was more about harnessing the power of his mind.
His mind.
Yeah, to elevate his entire being, body and all, to a different dimension of existence, one that, most of us can't perceive. It's about transcending physical reality through mental discipline.
Albeit. And he's got this name, Ramtha, the Ram, and says that Ram meant the god in some old language. Was that a common feeling back then, this connection between a ram and divinity?
Well, the sources suggest it held significant meaning, yeah. He even mentions an avenue dedicated to the ram in ancient Egypt, symbolizing a conqueror of the wind, of the breath of life itself. And he claims to be the first person born of a woman to achieve this ascension.
The very first, huh? Sounds like he thought pretty highly of himself.
It does seem that way. He also said he conquered most of the world back then, but his greatest victory was over himself. What kind of journey do you reckon that implies?
Well, it points to a profound inner transformation, I guess, overcoming his own inner battles, maybe moving from being aggressive to self-mastery, like you said.
Right. He hints at being a warrior who initially embraced violence until some powerful experience shifted his whole understanding.
These writings even paint a picture of him. Cinnamon-colored skin, black eyes, those wing-like eyebrows, a strong jaw, a kind mouth, and long, expressive fingers. Sounds like quite a striking figure.
Definitely memorable.
And he's part of this unseen brotherhood that watches over us, listens to our prayers and meditations. That's a comforting thought, ain't it? Especially when you're out on a quiet evening in places like Pall Mall or Jamestown.
It really is. It offers a sense that we're not alone, that there are maybe benevolent forces aware of us, offering some kind of guidance.
Okay, so we've got a bit of a picture of this Ramtha. Now let's wade into his ideas about the Almighty. Sounds like his view might be a little different from what we hear at the Sunday meeting down in Birdstown.
That's a fair observation.
Yeah.
Yeah, a key point in Ramtha's teachings is that God isn't some judgmental figure looking down on us,
Right.
but rather the whole of life, every pulsating moment, the very essence of existence that's constantly, unfolding.
The whole kit and caboodle, huh? Like the mist rising off Dale Hollow Lake in the morning, or the sound of the cicadas buzzing on a hot afternoon.
Exactly like that, all of it. And because God is everything, Ramtha posits that God cannot judge.
Why not?
Because that would be God judging its own self.
Makes a good bit of sense when you put it that way.
Yeah.
So what does he call this? This everythingness?
Well, he uses several names: Father, Platform of Life, the fundamental substance and life force of all things.
Okay.
But ultimately, he identifies the most profound aspect of God as thought.
Thought, like the ideas that pop into our heads when we're swaying on the porch swing, thinking about the coming harvest.
Well, yes and no. On a cosmic scale, far grander than our individual thoughts. According to Ramtha, thought is the ultimate creator.
The creator.
Yeah, the very substance from which all things are created, and the supreme intelligence called the mind of God. He even describes it as the cosmic glue called love.
Cosmic glue made of love.
Yeah.
That's a sweet notion.
Isn't it? And this God, this thought, is full of complete joy and sounds like a roar of laughter. He talks about a balance he calls the mother-father principle.
So not some stern figure shaking a finger at our wrongdoings over in Fentress County.
Exactly. The emphasis is on inherent joy and this harmonious interplay of masculine and feminine energies at the heart of the divine.
And here's something else.
Yeah.
He says God ain't out there somewhere, separate from us. It's right here, within each and every one of us. Like that little spark of something special you see in every critter and every person you meet down at the feed store in Livingston.
That's such a crucial point. The divine isn't distant. It's immanent. It resides within all of creation.
Now, what about rules? Seems like most folks figure God's got a whole set of do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
10 Commandments and all that. What's Ramtha say?
Well, interestingly, Ramtha states that God created no law save one.
Only one?
And that law is to express your life according to your own sovereign will. He actually describes God as lawless, emphasizing the boundless possibilities within divine truth and thought.
So we're free to be ourselves, to live our lives as we see fit. That sounds mighty liberating.
It does.
But what about when folks do wrong? You know, cheat their neighbor or spread unkind words?
Well, from Ramtha's perspective, God doesn't perceive wrong, only isness, only different expressions of itself.
Isness.
He suggests that God lovingly becomes whatever we envision through our thoughts, granting us the freedom to shape our own experiences. The divine doesn't judge because everything is ultimately part of the divine being.
Well, now, if God's within us and we're free to be ourselves, what does that say about us folks right here in Overton County? Are we just simple folk working the land, or is there something more to us, according to Ramtha?
Oh, there's definitely a profound more to it. Ramtha is quite direct on this point. He says, you are God. You always have been. You always will be.
Whoa. We're don'ts. We're gods. Little old me tending my tomato plants and watching the sunset over the Cumberland Plateau.
That's the claim, yeah. He says humans are gods created of God, the first and only direct creation of the source. He even puts it this way. God man the mind of God expressing in the form called humanity.
But if we're gods, how come we don't go around doing miraculous things, you know, healing the sick down at the clinic in Jamestown or something?
Well, Ramtha suggests that humanity has, over vast stretches of time and numerous lifetimes, forgotten its own divine nature.
Forgotten.
Yeah. He says every being was brought into existence at the very moment God's initial thought expanded into light.
So we had this power once, but we just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
Like losing your favorite fishing lure down at the lake.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. He emphasizes that the God within you remains, that inherent power to create, and that this is your truest identity.
He even mentions Yeshua, who most folks know as Jesus, as a great God, who taught that everyone is a child of God.
Yeah.
Not just him, but all of us.
Exactly. Ramtha views Yeshua as a powerful example of someone who fully realized his own divinity and tried to show others the way.
So what's the purpose of this whole life business then? If we're already God, what are we trying to accomplish down here on this earth?
The purpose, according to these ratings, is to consciously remember and realize your own inherent greatness and divinity.
To remember.
Yeah, to rediscover who you truly are and evolve towards what he calls godship. It's a journey of understanding and refining that divine spark within.
Now, this Ramtha talks a good bit about thought. How important is what goes on in our minds in all of this? Seems like some days trying not to think too hard is a full-time job itself.
Oh, absolutely. Well, according to Ramtha, our thoughts are foundational. He states pretty plainly, you are precisely what you're thinking. And everything you think, so will it be in your life.
Everything. So if I spend all morning thinking about hitting the jackpot at the lottery down at the Stop and Go in Alart, that's going to happen.
Well, maybe not quite that directly, but he suggests the trajectory of your future is being shaped by the thoughts you hold today. You are, he says, the sole judge of your own life through your attitudes.
My attitude.
Yeah. Even judgment itself is described as an illusion.
So if I'm always seeing the glass half empty and expecting the worst, that's likely what I'm going to draw into my life. Like attracts like, as they say.
That's the principle, basically. God, or thought, perceives every thought simply as being and grants you the freedom to create your life as you envision it.
Wow.
Manifesting every thought and word, regardless of whether we perceive it as positive or negative.
That's a powerful notion. We've got the ability to create anything, from the vilest to the greatest beauty. Makes you think twice about some of the notions that drift through your head when you're stuck behind a slowpoke on Highway 127, do it.
It really does. He further explains that even the physical matter we perceive originates from thought, brought into being through envisioning it, and, importantly, embracing it with emotion.
Ah, so our feelings play a part in this too, huh?
Yeah.
It ain't just cold, hard thinking.
Exactly right. He says that a desire originating from the soul activates the pituitary gland,
Okay.
which in turn opens the brain to higher frequencies of thought, ultimately leading to manifestation in your reality. It's the synergy of focused thought and, heartfelt desire.
These writings also touch on living thousands of lifetimes. Reincarnation, as some understand it. What's Ramtha's take on this journey of many lives?
Well, he explains that humans have experienced countless lifetimes to cultivate feeling, gain wisdom, and ultimately understand the greatest mystery of all, which is you, yourself.
Seems like a mighty long road just to figure out who you is, why all the coming and going, why not just get it right the first time?
Well, wisdom, according to him, is the fruit of every single life experience. It makes each individual uniquely wise. It's through these diverse experiences, even the really challenging ones, that we learn and evolve.
So all those tough times, the heartaches and the struggles, they ain't just random bad luck. They're part of this bigger process of learning and growth.
That's the perspective offered here, yes. And he suggests that as long as individuals believe they are other than divine, separate from God, they are, well, he says, doomed to be born a million times until they awaken to their own inherent divinity.
A million times. Sounds wearing just thinking about it. So what happens after this life then? Do we just dust ourselves off and get ready for the next round?
He describes it as a return to the void, a realm of pure potential. And from there, you consciously choose your next experience, your next adventure, all in service of fully reclaiming your divine identity as God.
Now, Ramtha seems to have a real positive outlook in some ways. Talks a lot about love and joy. Is that something crucial in all this?
Absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
He offers what he describes as profound love and emphasizes that self-love is fundamental to grasping these truths about our divine nature.
You gotta love yourself first, huh? Even with all the little quirks and imperfections we see looking back in the mirror.
That self-acceptance, that self-love, is what allows you to recognize the God within. He says that living for the love and joy of self isn't selfish, but actually essential for your present well-being, your future, and your ultimate destiny, your grandest destiny, he calls it.
Joy attracts joy. That's a cheerful thought, especially when you're out and about in Monterey or somewhere nice like that.
It is. He stresses that joy resonates with the very fabric of existence and that the divine, the Father, is constantly offering joy to us, pressing joy to us.
Constantly?
Yeah. He even encourages us, ask and you shall receive joy.
Like that feeling you get when the sun breaks through the clouds after a rain shower down here, or when the wildflowers start blooming in the spring around Clark Range. Just pure, simple joy.
Precisely. That feeling, and he underscores the significance of living fully in the now.
The now.
Yeah. He describes each now as a virgin, a fresh, unburdened moment. And your attitude in that present moment shapes your entire experience of it.
The present moment. Not dwelling on the past or worrying about what's coming. Just being right here, right now.
Exactly. And he encourages us to embrace all aspects of ourselves, even those parts we might judge or dislike, as a pathway to greater understanding and compassion for ourselves and, well, for others too.
Now, this last part touches on the science of knowing and the brain. Sounds a little more like something you'd hear from the folks over at Tennessee Tech, maybe. What's the main idea there?
Well, Ramtha claims that humans possess the innate capacity to know everything there is to know.
Everything, really.
That's the claim. He suggests that our brain isn't just a physical organ, but a sophisticated instrument designed to comprehend the dimensions of the divine through physical forms.
Our brains are wired for the divine, huh? That's a powerful thought to carry with you around Pickett County.
It is. He describes spirit as the receiver of a continuous river of thought, a universal flow of consciousness where all knowledge resides.
It's like a big cosmic library just waiting for us to check out a book. Or
Mm.
maybe like tuning into a radio station.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Yeah.
He explains that the brain receives these thoughts, translates them into electrical impulses, amplifies them, and distributes them throughout the body.
And those little glands in our head, the pituitary and pineal, they play a role in this knowing too.
Absolutely. He says they help to activate the brain, enabling it to receive and amplify these higher frequencies of thought.
So thinking big and with real feeling, like we talked about earlier, can actually change what's happening inside our own heads, physically.
That's the implication, yes. He suggests that thoughts first take root as realities within the body before manifesting in our external lives.
And how do we tap into this unlimited knowledge then? What's the secret to unlocking it all?
According to Ramtha, it's actually pretty simple, though maybe not easy, is having a deep desire to know and being open to receiving all thoughts without judgment. He says the key is the affirmation, I know. That phrase acts as an opening to this limitless flow of understanding.
I know.
So friend, as you go about your day here in our beautiful Overton County, whether you're heading down to Standing Stone State Park or visiting with neighbors over in Alpine,
Yeah.
maybe let some of these ideas simmer in your mind a bit.
Yeah, this Ramtha talks about the strength of our thoughts, how we're all connected to something grander. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kind of community could we build right here in Tennessee if we truly believed in that power within ourselves?
It's a big question. This perspective suggests that we are not just folks living in these hills. We are potentially divine beings with incredible potential,
Right.
capable of shaping our own lives and the world around us through our thoughts and intentions.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. This deep dive has shown us that, according to these sources, each and every one of you listening holds the power to create your own experience, to tap into something truly magnificent.
That's the core message.
So what if we, right here in Overton County, decided to really embrace that power? What if we started a wave of kindness, of faith in ourselves and in each other, that could ripple out further than the Putnam County line? Imagine that.
This isn't just about, personal growth alone. It's about the possibility of a collective upliftment, starting right here in our own community.
So our remarkable call to action for you good folks today, take a quiet moment, maybe sitting on your porch watching the fireflies tonight, and truly ponder the power of your own mind. Ask yourself, what kind of thoughts am I cultivating?
Good question.
What kind of reality am I building for myself and for those around me in places like Rickman and Wilder? And maybe just ask, what small step can I take today towards a more joyful and empowered way of being?
Consider this an invitation, really. An invitation to explore the divinity within you, to recognize that spark of the divine right here, right now.
And if these ideas have resonated with you, if they spark something, we'd be mighty grateful if you give us a like, maybe leave a comment telling us what stood out to you.
We'd love to hear it.
And subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. We're all on this path of learning together, one step at a time, ain't we?
Absolutely. And, in the spirit of Baba Ram Dass's timeless wisdom on love and service and remembrance, may we all connect with that sacred essence within ourselves and truly see it in everyone we encounter.
Amen to that. And now, if y'all will allow me, just a little something from the heart. May peace and understanding flow through all creatures, big and small, from the minnow in the creek to the hawk circling way up high above Fentress County. May we all discover that divine light within. And with heartfelt gratitude for his teachings, his love, we remember Baba Ram Dass. Y'all take good care now.
Take care, everyone.